She didn't even wait for the cameras to settle. Jasmine looked Matt dead in the eyes and asked him the one question that instantly froze time. "Are you sleeping with her?" No warning, no build-up, just a gut punch. You could feel it in the air, the way producers tensed, the way Matt blinked too many times in a row, and the way Jasmine's voice didn't tremble when it absolutely should have. She already knew the answer. She wasn't asking for clarity. She was demanding the truth from a man who suddenly acted like he'd forgotten how to speak. Welcome to TLC Drama Files, I'm Aliva. And when I tell you this is not some recycled love triangle drama, nah. This is the moment Jasmine stopped playing the victim, pulled up receipts straight from the shadows, and caught Matt like a deer in headlights. Subscribe if you like your jaw unhinged and your tea boiling. And if you've ever been blindsided by someone who swore they were different, tell me in the comments right now. Because what Jasmine exposed next didn't just call Matt out, it lit every denial he ever made on fire. Here's what went down. They were mid-shoot at the resort, surrounded by other couples pretending to be normal. Jasmine and Matt are sitting stiffly on that awkward tell-all set couch. Jasmine had that about-to-burn-it-all-down energy. No tears, no yelling. Wildly calm. The kind of calm that comes from someone who's done crying and started calculating. She looked at Matt and hit him with it. "Is there something you want to tell me about? Someone?" The silence that followed wasn't innocent. It was tactical. Matt sat, arms folded, lips pressed, like a kid waiting for his lawyer to speak. You could see it, right there on his face. The shift from being comfortably dishonest to panicked that the lie was about to explode. She didn't even name the girl. She didn't have to. Now pause for a second. What would make someone take off their mic, stand up on national television, and try to walk away mid-filming? Because that's exactly what Matt did. And if you thought that kind of guilt was subtle, honey, stay seated. This isn't just drama. This is a pattern Jasmine's seen before. That's what made this hit harder than the mess with Gino. Matt didn't raise his voice. Didn't call her crazy. He just didn't answer. But silence is an answer. And Jasmine heard it loud and clear. And here's where things start to twist. Why did Jasmine bring this up now, with cameras rolling, knowing this could shatter everything at once? Because she knew the only way to get a real answer was to do it in public. And that's your first clue. Something serious was hidden. Matt had spent the last few episodes building this image. The devoted partner. The guy who picked Jasmine over the drama, the anti-Gino. The safe choice. And to be fair, Jasmine wasn't easy on him. She grilled him, pushed buttons, made sure he could take emotional heat before calling him the father of her child on TV. This wasn't impulsive. It was cold, strategic love, or at least it seemed that way. But when someone's whole loyalty shtick evaporates under a simple yes or no question, you have to ask, was Matt caught cheating, or was Jasmine setting a trap? Knowing full well the answer and baiting him into denying it? That's the kind of question that splits fans. Some people still think she jumped to conclusions. Others believe Matt had it coming, and Jasmine was just flipping the light on in a very messy room. Right after that confrontation, cameras cut to Matt in a confessional, mumbling about having done some stupid stuff in the past. That's it. Stupid stuff. While Jasmine's trust is melting on global TV, that vague little phrase was the spark. Jasmine already had fireworks in her bag, but here's where it turns even messier. Why isn't Matt fighting back? If he was innocent, why look like his soul left his body the second her voice dropped an octave? Why did TLC producers suddenly rush behind the scenes during a break? And who was the mystery woman Jasmine was talking about? Because reports say she wasn't bluffing. She had names, screenshots, timestamps. This wasn't just about exposing Matt. It was a test of whether the safe guy was ever real to begin with. Retention booster. Jasmine didn't come here to argue. She came here to prove loyalty, and lies can't live in the same bed, and we're just getting started. Now ask yourself, what's worse? A partner who cheats? Or a partner who lies so well they make you second-guess your own sanity? Because in the next act, we're pulling the thread tighter. There's another woman. And Jasmine has receipts, a surprising DM history, some silent phone habits, and a few timeline gaps so wide, even TLC editors couldn't trim around them. And spoiler, if you're thinking, maybe it's a misunderstanding, wait till you see who Matt was allegedly texting after midnight while Jasmine was in labor. She never says her name, not in full anyway. But when Jasmine threw that bomb on stage, fans didn't need a name. They needed a clue. That one sentence, "Are you having sex with her?" Lit social media on fire. Who was her? The 90-Day Fiancé fandom went into full detective mode, combing through Matt's tagged photos, his old posts, shady comments under vacation selfies, and TikToks where his shirt was maybe off a little too often for someone in a relationship and building a family on camera. One Reddit thread found an account that kept popping up under his likes long before Jasmine ever confronted him. Now here's where things get weird. The woman fans suspected? She wasn't a stranger. Not some influencer from nowhere. In fact, viewers spotted her name buried in the credits of one of Matt's earlier side gigs mentioned online. Quiet, low profile, but not invisible. And Jasmine? She knows. Every sign pointed to it. Her vibe was crystal clear, like a woman who's done the homework and is giving the man one final out. But Matt didn't take it. He didn't say yes. Didn't say no. He just froze, which is why fans started asking the real question. Was this woman a fling, or has Matt had a whole other life running parallel to his TV storyline? Flashback to earlier in the season, Matt appeared like the upgraded version of Gino. Smarter, more grounded, patient. He even called out Gino's emotional immaturity on air. Remember that. Yet behind the scenes, his online activity was telling a different story. Jasmine admitted during a private confessional that she started feeling something was off when his phone suddenly needed passwords. Different ones. The big twist? They'd already gone through almost a full season of airing all their dirty laundry. Sex issues, parenting struggles, even her baldness. And that was the moment he decided to start locking her out? Suspicious timing doesn't lie. Then came the birthday excuse. Matt flew out for work. Jasmine stayed back home, exhausted, recovering after giving birth. And Matt never FaceTimed, never even sent a photo of where he was. Just one Instagram selfie smiling alone at a rooftop bar. Eye contact with the camera. But not a single mention of Jasmine or his daughter. She took it personally. Fans took it as evidence. And here's the moment you realize Jasmine wasn't guessing when she asked if he was cheating. She was testing to see how far he'd go to deny it. Retention booster. These aren't just trust issues. It's starting to look like a completely different version of Matt was hiding in plain sight. What's worse is what happened after the taping. Viewers noticed Matt deactivated his comments, then a subtle unfollow. Not of Jasmine, but of the woman fans suspected. The one he used to like every single bikini pic of, back when Jasmine was still in Panama, almost too perfect. A little too late. So what happens when you build your reputation on being the good guy, and your entire online footprint disagrees? Let's rewind for a moment to give context. Matt built Jasmine up, told her she was the love of his life, the woman he left behind his bachelor era for. Do y'all remember the episode where he said, "I don't want to end up like Gino. I want her to feel safe, chosen." Well, how chosen do you feel when your man disappears after midnight and whatever he's liking on Instagram isn't family photos? Jasmine, for all her overreactions, had one superpower: pattern recognition. She caught something familiar in the rhythm. She'd lived this script before, with Gino, the paranoia, the gaslighting. The phone flipped face down. The quiet, emotional shutoff while still performing loyalty on camera. But this time, she wasn't waiting to be proven right. She was asking publicly, drawing blood with a smile. Now here comes the real kicker. A DM leak surfaces. Allegedly from Matt's other Instagram account. Private, locked, barely followed anyone. But screenshots from a follower show messages as recent as last month like, "You looked amazing last night. Wish we talked more. The timing? Right before the tell-all weekend?" When Jasmine saw that, that's when she stopped filming for 2 days. Production confirmed she refused to leave her room. TLC scrambled to do damage control. Matt blamed stressed misunderstandings, but never addressed the screenshots directly. Jasmine reappeared 2 days later, visibly drained, but suddenly ready to face the cameras again. But something had changed. She wasn't angry anymore. She was silent. And that's always Jasmine's final stage before rage. Shut down. Because when she stops talking, you know she's planning. She had one more card to play. And from the way she stared Matt down in the next scene, it was clear she had every intention of playing it live. So here's the question. Oliva, did Matt pull a Gino? Or are we still missing the full picture? Because there's one more detail from Matt's timeline that has viewers convinced there's more to this woman than flirty DM's retention booster. What Jasmine found next wasn't on Instagram. It was from someone Matt thought she'd never talk to. And that changed everything. You know how some people get cheated on once and they change everything? Jasmine got cheated on once and started auditioning for the sequel. Flashback to Gino. The ex that walked so Matt could run. Gino with the hat addiction, the awkward silences, the green card power games. That man fumbled a whole fiancé with the grace of a dropped hot dog. But as much as viewers mocked Gino, at least he didn't pretend to be someone he wasn't. Matt, on the other hand, played the long game. The sweet guy, the safe guy, the one who called Jasmine's breakdowns valid expressions of stress instead of flipping out. But now, with this secret girlfriend mess unfolding, Jasmine's looking around and asking the question she probably should have asked years ago. Why do I keep inviting cheaters into my life? Or worse, do I mistake chaos for love? Her history with Gino wasn't just messy, it was humiliating. There was that time he sent her private pictures to an ex, on purpose, then fumbled through excuses like a man who couldn't tell the difference between revenge and stupidity. Cue Jasmine having to explain to her mom, again, why the man who loved her was exposing her instead of protecting her. So when Matt came along, respectful, soft-spoken, not glaringly toxic, she didn't just fall. She clung. Emotionally, logistically, legally. She built a home on top of a wound and hoped it wouldn't split open. But here's where the Matt situation mimics the worst part of Gino, deflection through loopholes. Matt didn't call it cheating, he called it freedom. He told Jasmine he was open to open-minded love, said something about non-traditional commitment, exploring connection. And bro, if a man starts quoting emotional connection while you're 7 months pregnant, he's emotionally connecting with somebody else. And Jasmine bought into it. Sort of retention booster. When you've been cheated on out loud, even silence starts sounding like betrayal. She didn't want to seem insecure. Not again. Not in front of TLC's 3-camera setup, or her family, or the entire fan base that already labeled her too emotional. So she danced around the idea. They'd be emotionally monogamous while figuring things out physically. Matt nodded, smiled, said yes to everything. That's what made it worse, because now, watching the footage back, Jasmine realized she was the only one drawing boundaries. Matt kept the terms conveniently blurry. Didn't argue, didn't confirm, didn't deny. Just let her live in the illusion that talking about openness was the same thing as agreeing to it. Let's be clear, Jasmine never said, "Hey, go smash other women behind my back." What she said was, "I'm scared, I need more, and I don't want to be abandoned again." And what he heard sounded a lot like permission. So, was this self-sabotage? Did Jasmine overcorrect so hard from Gino that she invited a softer brand of deception, one that hides under politically correct phrases like ethical non-monogamy, but is really just good old secrecy with a haircut? That's the part fans are split on. Some blame Matt fully. Others say Jasmine, knowingly or not, opened the gate and then got mad the horse galloped through. But here's something that isn't up for debate. Jasmine did not expect to fall in love with Matt. Not this hard, not this fast, and definitely not while still legally married to Gino. Wait, you forgot that part? Jasmine's still legally tied to Gino. Yeah, she married Gino. They filed for her green card. The whole thing was messy and poorly timed, and when she had to explain this to Matt on camera, he looked more stunned than mad, which should have been the red flag no one caught. He didn't fight for clarity. He just smiled that quiet, guilty smile people make when they've already done something worse and can't say it yet. So when Jasmine expressed regret, confessed. She wished the Gino saga never happened, called her marriage a lie, and said Matt made her feel real. Matt nodded. Not, "I deserve better." Nodded. No. Scheming nodded. Like a man keeping score behind his eyes. Because in hindsight, it looks like Matt didn't have a problem with Jasmine's past. He had a problem with being exposed for his present. He said all the right things, gave softness without security. And when Jasmine asked for loyalty, he offered possibilities. Now she's here. Again, another man, another possible affair, another round of public embarrassment, and this time with a daughter in the background. That's the piece nobody mentions enough. Jasmine wasn't fighting for the title of girlfriend or even fiancé. She was fighting for her daughter not to grow up watching men promise stability, then default to secrecy. Because little Matilda might not understand betrayal yet, but she knows what sadness looks like in her mother's eyes. And now viewers are starting to ask, is Jasmine cursed in love? Or is she subconsciously recreating the betrayal she experienced before, testing it over and over, hoping someone finally passes? Retention booster, maybe the real twist isn't that both men cheated, but that Jasmine might confuse discomfort with passion. Still, she said she was done being a victim. And something about her energy shifted again after that. She started pushing harder, digging deeper, getting access to phone records, backtracked screenshots, location blips, and one anonymous DM thread. That matched Matt's work trip perfectly, right down to the hotel bar special. What she has next changes the entire framing of who's cheating and who's lying. She didn't cry, she didn't yell, she didn't curse him out on speaker. Jasmine's mother, Cecilia, just went quiet. And somehow, that silence cut deeper than all of Jasmine's emotional breakdowns combined. For the first time, the woman who raised Jasmine, who survived Gino's drama from an ocean away, who warned her about men who smile too easily and speak too slowly, she saw Matt face to face, and she didn't like what she saw. The scene started simple. A calm call, video chat set up, Jasmine bright with excitement like a daughter finally proud to share part of her life. It was supposed to be a sweet moment. Introduction, connection, the beginning of something healing between generations. Instead, Cecilia sat stiff. Because from the second Matt opened his mouth, his version of their relationship didn't match what Jasmine had told her. He said they were exploring romance with flexibility, that he respected her daughter's independence, that their relationship was built on emotional honesty and evolving trust. Evolving. Trust? What does that even mean, sir? Cecilia didn't flinch. She didn't question him, but her facial expressions? Pure disappointment. And then the killer question came. Do you plan to commit to my daughter exclusively? That's when Matt froze. Again. This man is a gold medalist in strategic silence, but this time, he used Jasmine to do the heavy lifting. He looked at her, not her mother, like he needed her to speak for this relationship, validate it, translate whatever mess was going through his head into something less shameful. Jasmine felt it. That moment where you realize you're standing in front of your parent, trying to explain why this time the chaos you invited into your life is somehow different. And when her mother stopped speaking altogether, Jasmine collapsed. Not dramatically, not the TLC crying on the floor shot they always aim for. This was different. Quiet, stunned grief. Like she knew she'd just disappointed the only person who'd stuck by her when even her own ex tried to deport her. Retention. Booster. Jasmine can survive betrayal, but that look of heartbreak from her mother, that's the kind of shame you don't edit out in post. Behind the scenes, producers were scrambling because that call wasn't scripted. It wasn't meant to become a key episode arc, but Jasmine made the mistake of hyping Matt up to her family, turning him into her real future, the antidote to Gino's toxicity. And now it was all crumbling, and watching nearby, off camera but not invisible, little Matilda, her daughter. The one Jasmine swore she wouldn't raise in confusion. At a few months old, Matilda isn't aware that her mom's crying. But infants feel shifts. Intensity, disconnect. That became the turning point for fans who were on the fence about Jasmine's drama queen image. She wasn't fighting for attention anymore. She was fighting for credibility, for family honor, for her daughter to grow up seeing a mother who didn't quit when trust got complicated. Cecilia later told production, off the record, that she doesn't want Jasmine to waste more years repeating what happened with the last one. Her way of saying, we've seen this episode before, and here's where Jasmine's tone shifted completely. She wasn't asking Matt anymore. She was investigating him, because this wasn't just about getting cheated on. Jasmine realized that every promise Matt had made about loyalty, co-parenting, emotional safety sounded an awful lot like what Gino once said. It's not just about whether Matt slept with someone else, it's about who he is when Jasmine isn't watching, and parenting with someone who hides things. That's not a relationship. That's a liability. Yet Matt kept smiling, polite, polished, still calling her babe in between shooting days, still walking on eggshells like he thought this mess would all blow over if he just waited long enough. Like time would erase the screenshot trail. Nah, Jasmine was done crying. She started messaging people, frantically, finding receipts that hadn't aired, walking into rooms without knocking. She asked her producers for archive footage of the trip Matt suddenly had to take last fall, because if she was going down again, she was going down fully, informed. And this time as a mother, not just a girlfriend. Retention booster. When a mom starts investigating, it's not about feelings anymore. It's war. And the final straw? One of Matt's relatives sent Jasmine a message after the episode aired, telling her they regretted ever defending him and that she deserved better. Game. Over. At some point, you have to ask the hardest question in any messy relationship. Did this ever feel real? Or was I just part of someone else's recovery arc? That's the question Matt should be asking right now. Because the timeline between Jasmine's tearful breakup with Gino and her slow burn connection with Matt, it doesn't just blur, it overlaps. Emotionally, spiritually, logistically. And the receipts are right there. Publicly, Jasmine declared she was done with Gino after mounting fights, accusations of emotional manipulation, and that whole green card disaster. But emotionally, that break was slow, messy, incomplete. The kind you only make when the cameras are rolling and the contract is locked. Now Matt enters the picture. Clean cut. Incredibly patient. Tells Jasmine she deserves peace. Listens to her trauma without mocking it. Delivers. Compliments with the steady rhythm of someone overly rehearsed or barely present. Was it love or was it logistics? Matt was around when Jasmine needed a legal shift, when her status with Gino became a tangled mess, when the risk of being sent back became more real than any emotional reality show drama. That's not speculation. That's cold timing. And fans noticed something strange about their beginning. There wasn't one. No real spark moment on screen. No clear declaration. Just proximity and softness. A slow fade-in that felt more like a transfer of emotional property than the sudden click of chemistry. Like Jasmine passed her grief down a hallway, and Matt was waiting with a moving truck. Retention booster. When your new relationship starts in the ashes of your last disaster, are you building something new, or just camping on the ruins? And Jasmine, she couldn't stop talking about Gino, even while glowing through pregnancy hormones. Even while announcing her new baby as a symbol of new beginnings. Even while lying next to Matt, she used Gino's reactions to validate how far she'd come. That's emotional residue. And that stuff stains everything. Meanwhile, Matt played the long game. Supportive, smart, all green flags, but strangely quiet when it mattered. Jasmine told her producers that Matt helped her feel calm, but calm in crisis isn't always love. Sometimes it's self-preservation dressed as a boyfriend. And viewers caught that too. He never chased, never questioned, never made a bold gesture. Instead, he lingered, like a placeholder waiting for her grief to settle, so he could own the seat that Gino left cold. So who was he really? A love interest? Or a stepping stone? A protector? Or an opportunist? And if it was genuine at some point, when did the switch flip? When did Matt go from comforting Jasmine to possibly cheating on her? When did he stop being the safe zone and start mirroring the same patterns she ran from? Here's a clue most viewers missed. Matt once told Jasmine during a calm moment off camera that he wouldn't stand in the way of her feelings for Gino if they were unresolved. And Jasmine, she didn't say, "No, I'm over him." She said, "Don't say that," which sounds less like closure and more like a door creaking open. Still, Jasmine wasn't innocent either. She stayed married to Gino during key parts of her storyline with Matt. Immigration paperwork doesn't flip overnight. Anyone in the process understands that. But Jasmine's emotional confusion wasn't just legal, it was personal. She wasn't trying to pick between two men. She was trying to control how she'd be rejected. With Gino, it was callous and loud. With Matt, it was subtle and slow. In both cases, she ended up waiting for loyalty from people already emotionally overboard. Or maybe, and this is going to split the fandom again, Jasmine was the one who never climbed out of the mess. Maybe she just found someone willing to stand outside the fire until their shoes started melting. Retention booster. What if Matt didn't change? What if Jasmine simply misunderstood the terms of engagement from the start? Because here's another layer fans are clocking. Everything Matt has done since the cheating accusation has been strategic, not emotional. He's not shocked or shattered. He's not fighting for her. He's polite, silent, cooperative. You don't act like that when you're caught by surprise. You act like that when you've prepared for this ending. Think about it. The DM leaks. The sudden retreat from couple photos. That confused reaction during the mother call. It wasn't panic. It was routine. As if the moment Jasmine stepped too close to the fire she brought from her past, Matt hit mute and chose self-protection. That's a hard pill for Jasmine and her followers to swallow. Because if Matt was never long-term, then what is she left defending now? A betrayal or a false investment? We're executing the mask comes off moment, where the mystery woman starts looking very real, and Matt can't hide behind silence anymore. This act leans heavy into reveal energy, full of paranoia, precision, and that collision between doubt and proof. As always, the bold retention booster is embedded after 300 words, and the storytelling stays compliant, factual, and emotionally true. Let's break the silence. It started as a whisper. Some follower on Instagram said they'd seen Matt at a brunch table with a mystery woman. No Jasmine, no baby. Rumors like that show up all the time when you're on TV. You learn to ignore them. But then a second DM came through. Different person, same city, same woman, same timeline, and that's the moment Jasmine stopped ignoring. She went into full investigation mode, screenshots, contact names, call logs fused with hotel data. Jasmine had been here before, but this time she had a baby sleeping in the next room while she cracked digital timelines from the bed she shared with the man in question. Matt, meanwhile, stayed cool. Too cool. He kept filming, smiling, never once brought up the accusations. Even after Jasmine stopped sharing pictures with him, even after she deleted their pinned post, even after TLC producers reportedly took him aside and asked if there was something he wanted to disclose before they kept rolling. Still, nothing, until Jasmine stopped asking politely. Right before Rap Week, she confronted him privately. No crew, no assistants, no TLC handlers. Just them in the corner of the resort's back garden. She didn't yell, didn't throw a glass, didn't storm off like she usually would. She simply asked one last time, "Is this the only family you're building, or should I be texting someone else to compare notes?" And Matt's reply? Dead silence. He didn't deny. Didn't confess. Didn't ask what she meant. He whispered something about how relationships are complicated and everyone makes mistakes when they're scared. That was the moment every nerve in Jasmine's body crashed at once. This wasn't confusion. It was guilt. Real, unearned, and fully documented. Retention booster. When someone gives you vagueness where honesty should be, they're hiding more than feelings. They're hiding people. Because Jasmine had receipts now. The woman, who fans eventually identified through cross-references in fitness influencer circles, was named Jamie. Not a public figure, not a drama chaser, just someone who apparently knew Matt for longer than Jasmine knew him, according to two mutuals. Jamie's name showed up quietly in a Cash App transaction Jasmine accidentally saw when Matt let his phone ring next to her. Weekly transfers, emojis. One labeled, "You up?" The minute Jasmine searched that name in his contacts, nothing. He'd saved it under James. It was all downhill from there. She found vague texts dated back to when she was still pregnant. Flirty. Casual. Not enough to scream infidelity, but absolutely enough to confirm emotional cheating. And to Jasmine, that's worse. Because a man can mess up drunk and apologize. But a man who chooses to love two people quietly while smiling through baby showers and parent introductions, that's not a slip. That's a lifestyle. And then, as if the show had it scripted, Jasmine went public, confronted him with cameras rolling at the reunion pre-taping. "Why does your little side piece think you have a future with her?" she said calmly. Ice cold. Matt stiffened, and fans finally saw him lose the script. He didn't deny Jamie existed. Didn't call it fake. He reached for context, reached for "it's complicated," reached for the oldest reality TV defense in the book. "We were figuring stuff out. Sir, you do not figure fatherhood out while scheduling gym dates with Jamie in Tampa." Fans lost it. Comment sections flooded. Tweets soared. People started DMing screenshots Jasmine hadn't even discovered yet. Some were from March. One might have been from Valentine's Day. And Jamie? Well, she wasn't trying to go viral. She went private. No statements, no messy defense, which, in today's drama economy, is either a very guilty move or a very smart one. Either way, it made Matt look the worst he ever has. And Jasmine, sitting across from him in that reunion chair, didn't need to scream anymore. Her silence this time wasn't sadness. It was wake-up energy, the look that says, "I don't want an apology. I want an exit, retention booster." It's one thing to get caught. It's another thing to realize the person you trusted never planned to stay. And if you thought Jasmine would take this lying down, she didn't. She stood up, looked Matt in the face in front of the entire cast, and said the words no one was prepared to hear. I want the immigration lawyer called. Today. Gino, apparently, had been quietly dropping hints on social that some things never change. Petty? Yes. Accurate? Debatable. But Jasmine didn't flinch, because what came next wasn't about Gino, Matt, Jamie, or public shaming. It was about securing her life and her kids' safety. The tone shifts once again, this time into explosive drama mixed with emotional unraveling. Tension climbs, truths start biting back, and Matt's silence becomes its own kind of speech. As always, a bolded retention booster comes at the 300-word mark. Let's dive in. If the cast thought they had seen it all by day 2 of tell-all filming, Jasmine proved them all wrong before brunch hit the table. Because it wasn't just public outrage or emotional suspicion anymore. It was screenshots. Real ones. Dated, time-stamped, and delivered directly to Jasmine's inbox. During one of the lunch breaks, a quiet crew member approached Jasmine with a heads up. "Production needs you mic'd early." Something came in. She didn't ask questions. She already knew what it was. Earlier that morning, a fan account had posted what looked like private Instagram messages between Matt and allegedly the same woman. Jasmine confronted him about in Act 6, Jamie. But these weren't speculation screenshots. They read like real conversations, emotional, personal, physical. One message read, "I just need peace when I'm with you. She's too loud." Another, "I feel like you get the version of me I really want to be." And a third, late at night, just days after Jasmine gave birth to their daughter, "You're the only soft space I have right now." Matt had typed those words. While co-parenting, while building this fantasy of a family, while swearing up and down in interviews that Jasmine changed him. As she sat backstage with a tablet in her lap and producers breathing down her neck, Jasmine tried to swallow it all. But you know that burning behind your eyes that sneaks up before the tears even fall? That happened mid-makeup. They stopped filming for 45 minutes. Retention booster. There's heartbreak, and then there's betrayal delivered in Wi-Fi text bubbles while boom mics are already rolling. When they finally resumed taping, the mood had shifted. The usual messy chatter died down. You could hear jewelry clinking when people folded their arms. Silence rippled through every corner of that set. Jasmine came in without speaking, wearing that icy stare we've now seen evolve episode after episode. Tears gone, rage tucked neatly away. She sat, crossed her legs, and looked Matt in the face. "Do you deny writing these?" The screenshots were on full display. Producers had already vetted them. Legal check done. Timestamp aligned with production schedules from the prior filming month. This was real. Matt exhaled through his nose, blinked, winked unintentionally, we assume, and muttered something about complicated timing. Not a denial, not an apology, not even fake confusion, just that. An entire confession wrapped in silence and ego. The set stood still. One cast member looked like they were chewing their lip off just watching it happen. Lauren from another couple whispered, "Holy," and got shut down by a glare from production. Matt ruined everything and still refused to say it out loud. But Jasmine wasn't fishing for confessions anymore. She already knew, in every cell of her body, that he pivoted into someone else's emotional space the moment she became too maternal, too loud, too real. So when she stood up mid-segment and walked toward producers saying, "I need 5 minutes," no one tried to follow her. She left her mic on. And outside was where it finally hit her, the part where you go, "This is happening to me, on TV, again." She put her face in her hands, quiet, shaking. The tears this time weren't dramatic. No mascara mess, no wild sobs, just that deep, stomach-twisting pain that only comes when you realize you're grieving your future in real time. Meanwhile, back on set, Matt was vibrating with discomfort, but said nothing. Not even a defense. This wasn't the shock of being exposed. He looked like a man who had practiced this moment. Like part of him expected Jasmine wouldn't find everything, but another part internalized it the day he sent those messages. He knew this would blow up, and for fans watching, it wasn't the betrayal that wrecked them, it was that Matt sat in it. Quiet, stone-faced, mask fully on, you could almost hear America groan in unison, because if there's one thing people can forgive, it's a mistake. But what's unforgivable is the man who emotionally checked out and never told you, even as you held his child. And remember, Jasmine hadn't just gambled her heart this time. She'd gambled her legal safety, her social circle, Her status as a mother, she moved countries for this. And he was out here texting, "You're the piece I need," to someone new while Jasmine was rocking a newborn on zero sleep and postpartum anxiety. This wasn't soft cheating. This was soul-shifting betrayal. Retention booster. Jasmine didn't lose a boyfriend. She lost the version of motherhood she thought she finally secured. And that's a different kind of burn. When she returned to set 40 minutes later, fans expected fire, but what they got was silence. She sat down, took a breath, looked at Matt, and said the calmest words she's spoken all season. "From today, I co-parent with you. I don't partner with you." That silence from Matt just confirmed it. One of the producers called cut. Another cast member clapped. Someone off camera shouted, "Finally!" And that, for maybe the first time since the season aired, was Jasmine choosing herself without needing an audience to clap. Because next up, Matt's family gets involved. And what Jasmine learns about the lies he told them flips this triangle into a full-blown square. Jasmine wasn't supposed to have that conversation on camera. It wasn't scheduled, mic'd, or crew cleared. It was a private moment. At least, that's what she thought. But TLC doesn't sleep. And their mics always live. It happened late at night, post-wrap, in a quiet corner of the resort patio. Jasmine, visibly drained after the reunion explosion, found herself sitting next to Gino. Yes, Gino, the ex, the villain. The one who started this entire saga with leaking photos and gaslighting spiral arguments. What was he even still doing here? Simple. TLC knew? They knew Jasmine might implode. They knew Matt wouldn't fight. And they knew if there was a backup twist, it would come from the man she swore she left in the ashes. Their little chance meetup wasn't accidental. You could sense it. The way production accidentally seated them near each other on day 3. The way cameras slowly drifted closer without intruding. And Jasmine, already tense, cracked open the thing she'd been holding back for months. He made mistakes. Yes. But he never made me feel unwanted. That was the first bomb. Keep in mind, this is days after accusing Matt of having a second girlfriend. Days after declaring she was done being anyone's placeholder. But here she was, sipping her drink, looking out at the dim resort lights, and absolutely revisiting Gino with a softness fans haven't seen since season 6. Then came the second blow. A part of me still loves him. I don't even know how to start pretending I don't. And Matt heard it. Every word. He had just stepped onto the patio for bottled water, according to crew. No warning, no script, no cameras aimed toward confrontation. But the look on his face when those words reached his ears? Unforgettable. He didn't flinch. Didn't yell. He froze mid-step like someone punched the air out of his chest. There it was, the last ego thread snapping. All this time he thought he was being betrayed quietly. Emotionally cheated on through his biggest insecurity. That Jasmine would never fully leave Gino behind. And in 10 seconds, she confirmed it. Retention booster. Sometimes the betrayal isn't who cheats, it's who you were never actually fighting for in the first place. The next morning, the vibe on set was nuclear. Word had spread. Jasmine's leaked confession wasn't just emotional weakness, it was emotional loyalty. To the man who almost destroyed her. And people had opinions. Cast members whispered off camera. One even confronted Jasmine mid-makeup. "You're still in love with the man who tried to ruin your immigration status?" She nodded. But that's when her expression changed. For once, no shame, no excuse. No fake empowerment speech about moving on or learning from pain. "That's what makes it worse," she said. "Because I tried to replace him instead of healing." And y'all, that was the moment the internet split down the middle. Some viewers clapped in the comments like, "Yes, ma'am, own your feelings." Others said, "You don't deserve Matt or Gino, you need therapy." And a surprising number of people were convinced Jasmine never stopped loving Gino. She just paused it, like she door-dashed a safer relationship while waiting for the fire to come back. Meanwhile, Matt didn't show to filming the next morning. No phone call, no official notice. He stayed in his room, alone. Producers reportedly tried to coax him out, but according to sources on set, Matt told them he had no further comment and didn't want to play the game if everyone else is improvising. AKA, game over. That's when fans started questioning Jasmine's intentions the entire season. Was Matt ever more than a security blanket? Did she ever emotionally show up for him the way she demanded he show up for her? Even during reunion tapings, she hadn't worn his ring. She said she lost it. But receipts from earlier Instagram lives showed it sitting on her nightstand, untouched. And remember, Jasmine cried more over losing Gino's respect than she did over Matt's DVD-grade betrayal. What does that tell you? Maybe she never fell all the way out of love with Gino. Maybe she fell out of pride, and isn't that the most dangerous kind of love? Where you stay mad because they broke your dignity, not because they stopped giving you butterflies. Retention booster. Jasmine didn't confess to free herself. She confessed because there's a part of her that's still unconvinced she chose the right man. The next day, Matt left the resort. Quietly, without a goodbye scene, no dramatic door slam, no comment to producers or cast. He packed at 6 a.m. and vanished. For someone who stuck around this long in Jasmine's chaos, it was the most telling move he could have made. Walk out not? When she exploded. But when she admitted her heart never fully arrived. Drama is one thing. Deportation is a whole different beast, because love triangles get messy. But immigration officers? They don't do drama. They do paperwork, they do facts, they do deadlines. So imagine this. One day, Jasmine's crying over heartbreak. The next, she's being detained by ICE. She thought she was attending a routine filming schedule. It was just another shoot for the happily ever after post-season crew update, a chance to explain the breakup with Matt, maybe sneak in a tearful reunion with Gino, and try to take back some dignity. But the government had other plans. A flag appeared in the system the minute they reviewed her updated Form I-485. Not a small mistake, not a typo. A full-on visa application denial had already been mailed to her address weeks earlier. Jasmine didn't see it, or she never opened it. Or, and this is what insiders whisper, someone else may have hidden that letter, hoping to drag the process out. Whatever the reason, it didn't matter anymore, because when local law enforcement showed up on site to do a routine wellness check after a 911 call that neighbors made during yet another screaming match, ICE followed. Once identification was confirmed, she was taken in. And yes, TLC cameras were rolling when it happened. Allegedly, the footage won't air. Legal is too hot. Lawyers stepped in within 48 hours and locked that SD card tighter than a vault at Homeland Security. But producers were stunned. Jasmine wasn't some fading reality star with expired fame. She was one of the most followed, most unpredictable women on the current season. Losing her mid-season retention booster, TLC signed up for reality TV, not real-life arrests. But Jasmine's pain just became government property. And where was Gino? Not at the station. Not answering press, not issuing any kind of public response. Matt? Gone. Packed. Disconnected. Off-grid. Jasmine? Alone in ICE custody. Crying in a gray room. Hair tied back. No phone access. Detained like a name in a system. Not a face in a TV show. This wasn't about ratings anymore. This was about status. Citizenship. Survival. According to insider court records, Jasmine's initial visa was tied to her prior marriage to Gino, one that clearly disintegrated. But when Gino and Jasmine gave inconsistent answers during her last immigration interview, details about who paid the bills, who lived where, what address they were really staying at, the application got flagged as potentially fraudulent. And once Matt entered the equation, Jasmine's legal path blurred even more. Multiple house moves, a child born without a finalized paperwork trail, 2 men publicly linked to her as potential partners, and clips, actual clips, of her saying she wanted to start fresh emotionally, but couldn't close legal doors yet. Oh, not a great look when the Department of Homeland Security is watching your entire season frame by frame. TLC went into panic mode. They issued a private hold on upcoming promo material, pulled one teaser the night before it aired. Internal emails leaked showing showrunners asking whether they should cut her from the finale entirely. Executives clashed. Some argued that this was pure reality TV gold, but someone upstairs knew this wasn't funny anymore, because getting arrested by ICE while filming for TLC isn't a plot twist. It's a legal headache with national TV coverage and social media lawsuits waiting in the wings. And the wildest part? Jasmine didn't know. She thought her visa was pending. Even told producers, off camera, "I'm waiting for the green light before we film the next segment with Matilda." It never came. Instead, the only green light she saw was from the squad car before dawn. Retention booster. For the first time in Jasmine's life, the cameras stopped rolling, but the consequences kept filming. Now, the fandom is split. Some say she knew, she played ignorant, she banked on chaos. Others say she was failed. By Gino, by Matt, by TLC, by every man in system that watched her drown and still held the camera steady. But here's the fact. A deportation hearing was scheduled. Jasmine had 30 days to either appeal or leave voluntarily. And guess who didn't come to the hearing? Gino, not even to clarify his side of the old visa status, not even to support her current role as a child's primary caregiver, not even to clean up the mess he helped create years ago when they filed forms assuming they'd still be together at this point. Matt didn't come either. Didn't need to. His hands were legally clean. Whatever Jasmine lost, it was tied to papers signed in Gino's name. And Jasmine, she sat in that courtroom, alone, wearing the same blazer she wore to the tell-all, hair slightly unkept. No glam team, no retakes, just a woman who spent 5 seasons building a future through reality TV and watched it collapse in a language she never mastered. No final rose, no plot twist redemption, no dramatic storm-off. Just a quiet, meek, yes, Your Honor. Let's be honest, that moment broke something in the audience, because for once, Jasmine wasn't loud. She was still, exhausted, stripped of vanity, and maybe for the first time, completely out of scenes to steal. She posted it without warning. No caption, no story build-up, no teaser, just one photo. Jasmine in a white gown, bald and smiling. Matt in a tuxedo, holding hands, ring visible. And the fandom was done. Shook, confused, furious. After all the tears, all the cheating receipts, all the courtroom chaos, they're still together? Or are they? Because if this was supposed to be a soft launch of Forever, it felt more like the world's quietest PR stunt. The post had no wedding tags, no location, no bridal party, no official marriage certificate attached, and fans couldn't find one in any US registry. But what sent people into maximum speculation mode? 2 tiny details. The date it was posted matched the same week of Jasmine's deportation deadline, and the caption was blank. No. I said yes. No. My forever. Just silence. So now, fans are asking, was this wedding real or a lifeline? The math doesn't lie. If Jasmine's immigration status was circling the drain and Gino was no longer a viable option due to their collapsed petition, a marriage to Matt could buy her just enough time to reset the legal game. And Matt, he'd already ghosted from the show. No interviews, no cast wrap-up, and yet here he was in a tux, smiling like a man who finally won something, or covered up everything. Retention booster. When the fairy tale wedding photo shows up after the ice truck, the plot isn't resolved. It's redirected. One fan wrote, "If you have to publicly marry your rebound to stay in the country, is that still romance? Or is it survivor's guilt in formal wear?" Another fan posted side-by-side comparisons of Jasmine's facial expressions, from her baby shower, her court appearance, and her wedding, time-stamped within the same 6-week period. And honestly, you're not crazy if you think she looked happier waiting for her visa interview than in the black and white filter selfie labeled "just married." It felt rushed, controlled, like a message without meaning. So what do we believe was this Matt's final peace offering? A non-refundable Hail Mary to keep Jasmine from vanishing across the border and baby Matilda with her? Or was it Jasmine playing the one card she had left, marrying a man she once accused of emotional abandonment, hours before a judge could sign off on her removal? Fans aren't buying it. Comments flooded in asking where the ceremony was filmed, why there was no live stream, why not even TLC, who covered their entire story arc, promoted the moment. And that's when it got darker. One anonymous producer leaked that the wedding was done for private reasons with possible legal support in mind. Keywords: possible, legal, support, not love, not joy, not commitment. A plot twist no one cheered for because it didn't feel like closure. It felt like a chess move made too late, after half the board burned down. And through all of it, where was Jasmine? Off social. Silent again, but not defeated, because her final play wasn't a fight. It was strategic survival. She didn't need everyone to believe the wedding was real. She just needed one judge to reconsider her status. Marriage to a U.S. citizen resets the clock, opens a new petition, builds the foundation for a stay of removal. It changes the narrative, if not the outcome. Which brings us here, to a final photo. A white dress, a man nobody trusts, and a woman nobody can stop watching, even when they swear they've seen enough. Maybe Jasmine loved Matt. Maybe she settled. Maybe she used him. Maybe they used each other. Retention booster. The ultimate betrayal wasn't cheating or deportation or confession. It was celebrating happily ever after with cameras off and questions unanswered. Because fans never got the kiss, never got the vows, never got the payoff season. Just a haunting silence, a legal shadow, and one photo that might be real, might be fake, but either way, made the world pause. So here's the question. If the confession was real, if the betrayal was real, if the fallout was real, was the marriage the lie, or the ending Jasmine was planning all along? Up next in the queue, Gino's back, and this time, he's not staying quiet. The man who started this whole saga has new comments, new evidence, and allegedly a whole new case against Jasmine he's ready to take public. Click here because this story isn't over.